In this video, we're going to be talking about conversion optimization. And specifically, I put together this really in-depth 53-point conversion rate optimization checklist, and it's on our website. So this video goes with that. Let's get started with the first top point that you need to know. The first thing and most fundamental thing that we all need to be on the same page about is conversion rate optimization, CRO, what it's about and what it's not about. Okay, it's not about getting more clicks, although sometimes that can be an indicator in the right direction. It's not about any sort of fancy marketing tricks. It's not about, just hacking the human reptilian brain to persuade people to buy your stuff. Although an understanding of conversion and why people convert and why they don't, and basic definition of value is, foundationally important. CRO is about driving more sales for your business. It's fundamentally just all it's about. But before we go further, you can get a lot from this video, but I also want to encourage you, because I know that there are a number of startups in our audience who watch these videos. And for those who are earlier on in your journey, CRO may not be for you. Conversion rate optimization may not be for you. If you have any doubt, or if the data tells you that you should have doubt in terms of the alignment of your product or service with your market. So first and fundamentally, you should not be focused on CRO, on getting your conversion rate up if you're just struggling to make sales in the first place. Now, it could be some economic headwinds depending on what market that you're in that maybe you're facing, and maybe CRO can incrementally help. But CRO by itself cannot fix a product that is low value, that is not solving a fundamental problem that your market recognizes as valuable and worth spending money on, to the tune of you being able to turn a profit and to do it in a reasonably scalable way. And not everyone has to go and build Google, but fundamentally, to have a successful business, you need to make sure that that fundamental is taken care of, that you are able to make sales, and that the dogs like the dog food, to quote, I think several startup books, they call it dog fooding. Basically your product is like the dog food, and the dogs are the market. So do the dogs run and eat it? Are they interested? Do you have repeat customers and clients, and so on and so forth? Are you generating any natural word of mouth? So make sure that is all taken care of before you invest heavily in CRO, because CRO will be a great accelerant, like gasoline on the fire, to use a cliche, to just accelerate your growth if you have that fundamental already in place. And having said that, of course, you need a basic website to get going here as well, because the website is more or less the foundation of your marketing funnel. All right, got it? Good? Cool, we're all on the same page. All right, so next you need to actually set a conversion goal. So what do you actually want to achieve? Do you want to get more people to check out, to just actually buy online, depending on what you're selling? Maybe you want to get more people filling out your lead generation form. Maybe you just want to get more people to your checkout page, because you know that that's a leading indicator that you will grow sales as well. Maybe conversions for you is more targeted just to a segment of your funnel right now, like growing your email list, because fundamentally your funnel is solid enough that if you grow your email list, you're going to make more sales overall. And it's different for different businesses based on where you are at. I also want to encourage those who might be earlier on in the journey, and maybe you don't have a ton of traffic. Like a lot of businesses that are actually quite successful do not have a ton of traffic. And you might be wondering, okay, I only have 1,500 visits or 1,000 visits or less a month, Matt. Can I grow my business with CRO? And I would say to that, yes, you can, but it's not going to be most likely through A/B testing, because A/B testing will just take too darn long. And that's part of why I created this checklist, as well as the info product, the Proven Sales Conversion Pack, to go with it, because it's about the insights. It's about leveraging, what other people have already tested, and understanding the conversion principles that are at work that if you clone them into your website, and if your market and our product is in any way similar foundationally, then you're going to get better results as a result of copying what works. All right, and just adapting it obviously to your product and market. As an example of this, with our business in 2015, 2017 actually, when we launched the second productized service, we raised our prices significantly at the time. This is when we were offering a done-for-you sales funnel service. And people would come to us and they would pay a monthly fee in order for us to create their sales funnel from scratch or build on their existing funnel, optimize it and whatnot. And this productized service, so it was packaged, with the prices on the website, and we wanted to get more people to book calls with us, okay? So I read this case study about this limo company. Actually, it was a software tracking company for limo fleets, okay? So they would use GPS and they would track where the fleet of limos and cars were, so that these the central dispatch could understand how to best allocate these resources in terms of booking appointments and whatnot, and timing of scheduling the usage of the assets, which were the cars. And the case study, which was published on Crazy Egg, it talked about how they were initially trying on this landing page to get people to book a call. And they changed the offer from, book a call to fill out this form and you can get you can watch a 10-minute video. And that's what the call to action said. And it was that they were asking for the same information, so same number of form fields, okay, but the promise of what would happen in the next step, rather than getting on a call, would be to watch a 10-minute demo video. And the result was a 900% increase in the conversion rate. Again, asking for the same information. The difference is that they were not switching mediums. They were not, the prospect, the offer, was just different. It had more value, more appeal, because they could get answers to their questions without having to wait, several days for a call back or to get on a call. They didn't, they were already online. All right, they didn't have to switch, mental modes or medium. They could just get more answers and more clarity while still being online on this website. So a 900% increase in leads as a result of doing that. I read this case study and said, you know what, let me clone this into our funnel. We did so. We saw about a 700% increase in leads coming in. And this translated to not an exact, one-for-one increase in sales going up, but sales did go up significantly from this. And I can say that the conversion rate at that point in our funnel, though, increased by 700%. So that's an example of the power of CRO, and that wasn't something we A/B tested. We just did what you could technically just call a sequence test, where you have your website says A, and you say, all right, well, I think B will work, so you put B up and you watch the numbers, and if it goes like this, with high degree of confidence that it's probably the fact that it was B instead of A. So CRO can work for your business, even if you don't have a ton of traffic. And, you should also be skeptical of anyone who's telling you, oh, you got to A/B test. It's like most businesses do not have the traffic to do it well. And that's okay. One of our first clients that we worked with, who was a 7-figure business, and I was very impressed by this back in 2014. We were just, an agency at that time, building, custom landing pages and copy. And this entrepreneur, we became friends. We met through this networking group, and he had started his business just 2 years earlier. He was selling into a market which were enterprise customers, like large Fortune 500 companies like Revlon, I believe NASA as well was one of their clients, and they would build these applications, to help with their processes. I bring up this example because that business was doing over 1.5 million in revenue per year with very healthy profit margins, and it was a service business, and they had about 1,500 visits to their website per month. So, and they didn't do CRO. They just used best practices, and we helped them with that by redesigning key landing pages that they were sending Google AdWords traffic to. So keep that in mind. You can apply CRO insights without actually doing extensive A/B testing. However, to help your aim be really, really effective, there are certain key tactics that you can do. Like, a lot of people in our audience, I find, are actually very savvy, but also rightfully so, many are skeptical or even cynical, because you hear the same advice over and over again. But I also find that a lot of that skepticism and cynicism comes from actually just not taking action, not taking enough action, either because, you're just too busy, like you got a lot on your plate, and that's understandable. But I encourage you to be skeptical of your own skepticism if you actually haven't tried a thing. For example, one of the ways in which any conversion change that you can have a higher confidence in making before you make it is tactically you can do email surveys. And again, this is like kind of tried and true, sounds cliche, sounds boring, but boring often works. Just writing, for example, clear copy can increase your conversion rate. If it's boring copy, but it's more easy to understand, boring works. So email surveys work for helping you to understand what you should be changing to help your conversion rate. Other examples of this for CRO include on-site surveys, post-purchase follow-up, just laying out your funnel visually and having some sort of like, we just actually use like a spreadsheet to bring together our Facebook ads, our Google Analytics, our active campaigns, CRM data, and maybe one or two other things, and we just put it in one place, and it's just a spreadsheet. And it's a little visually organized, but it's not anything special. It just helps us to know our numbers and identify bottlenecks and where we should be optimizing in the first place. You can also discover pages, with a high bounce rate, heat map, scroll tracking, user session recording, user testing. You can do interviews with people who are in your target market. So around 2015, we had a client. We did the survey, and what was surprising in the survey was that people just didn't know that this offer existed. Like, they were on the email list, they were, engaged with the content that was going out, they liked it, but they were like, oh really? Like, you have a paid offer? Like, sweet, like where do I go to sign up for it? So just like the visibility of the offer wasn't there. What was also interesting was that I conducted one-on-one interviews with people in the target audience who, answered some of the survey questions. They indicated that they were willing to get on a phone call. Several of them stood out to me. One of them in particular was the story of this girl and her personal connection to photography. Why was it important to her? And part of the reason it was important to her was because when she was a little girl, her father gave her this camera for Christmas, and this really meant something to her. It represented, time with family, her father caring about her and them sharing something together. And so she just grew up with it, and she did, some professional, and she, did it as a hobby as well. But that's why photography was important to her. And this sort of in-depth qualitative data, you don't get just from doing a survey most of the time. So phone one-on-one video interviews can also be really valuable for that reason. And that translates to a higher conversion rate. Why? When we redesigned their entire funnel, the copy that we put in there made references to the personal aspect of photography, I forget exactly what the wording was, but it was something about, maybe we mentioned family, something along on these lines, where we just sort of plug this connection that, a lot of people had in the audience to it. And, that wasn't true for everyone, but, we took the multiple interviews that we did and we brought some anecdotes and references to those things into the copy. And the results, when we launched, was a 600% increase in the conversion rate. And it was a profitable investment within the first week, based on what the company had been paid, and it was even more profitable by the second week. Did it stay that high? Well, it was a launch. We had an email promotion going out there as well, but everything across the board was up. Okay, so it was a big win, and that came from gathering this data from these boring CRO sources that do take a little bit of time, like getting on the phone and email surveys. Okay, so the 53-point conversion checklist, you can go ahead and you can access that for free. The link is going to be in the description right below this video. I want to conclude this video by going over what I think are the top 5 points that you should know. If you're in a rush and you're considering checking out the checklist, here's some of what I think are some of the most important takeaways. All right, so here are the top 5. If you access the this free 53-point conversion checklist, what you're first going to notice is that all the items on the checklist, we've actually organized them to make them easier to kind of go through and understand, what they are and why they work. We've organized them by the 11 laws of sales funnel physics. So we have this framework at AutoGrow. You may already be familiar. Some of you in the audience already know this. The 11 laws of sales funnel physics, it's exactly what it sounds like. So you throw a ball, goes up in the air, comes back down. Laws of sales funnel physics are in a similar way, where these are just data-backed, observable, consistently over time across markets, across products, across services, that you do these things in principle and tactically, and you're going to see a higher result in terms of your sales, okay, and your conversion rate. So for example, I'll go through sort of my top 5 based on each of the laws. We'll start with the first one, which is the law of confidence, which basically says people want what they see as popular and trustworthy. And one of the most interesting points on the checklist from this section is that I can tell you is use authentic images of you, your team, your company, or your clients or customers. And why do you want to do this? Because it avoids this commercial feeling. And a lot of people overlook this opportunity, and it's very easy, for designers to rely on stock photos, and they're not professional photographers who might necessarily fly out and photograph you, your team, your clients, your customers. But if you can hire someone to do that, or you can provide those images, it's going to make your design better. It's going to feel less commercial, and your conversion rate is going to be higher as a result. So, for example, one company, which we documented this in AutoGrow's conversion pack, which I mentioned earlier, one company was able to grow their lead generation rate by 34% by using an authentic image of their founder on the homepage. So that gives you an idea. And this was not just in one case study. I saw this across multiple A/B tested, statistically confident case studies. So that's the first of my top 5 points from this checklist. So the second point falls under the umbrella of the law of visibility, And the law of visibility, long story short, we can talk more about it another day. Sometimes we have webinars. I think we're going to come out with an ebook all about the 11 laws. But basically the law of visibility says if it isn't seen, it won't sell. All right. And the key point from this checklist under the law of visibility that I'd like you to remember and consider is this. In terms of visibility, what is highly visible within your funnel? And when I say funnel, I'm talking about your website, your emails, your ads. What exactly are people naturally drawn to, for example, on a landing page? Well, that which is going to get their attention, that which may be just visually bigger. For example, your headlines. Your headlines they just get read more than other text. Bullet points as well kind of fall under this category because people are often skimming and scanning. But if your paragraph text, it's just not usually going to get read as much. People are going to focus in on, the headlines because it's big. It actually puts less strain on the eye just to read that versus to focus in on some smaller text. So in terms of optimizing for a higher conversion rate, think of your headlines as a higher point of leverage than other elements in your funnel and on your landing page in general. Because if you have a stronger, clearer, more persuasive, more aligned with your market headline, your conversion rate will go up. The next of my top 5 points from this 53-point conversion rate optimization checklist is under the umbrella of the law of repetition. Law of repetition basically says, say it again, because maybe I'll change my mind. Maybe I'll be in a different mood. Maybe my circumstances have changed, and you're coming in at just the right moment where, you know what, I'm ready to make that buying decision. I've read some research in the past that decisions in general, they take some sort of emotional energy to do. Like it's not just about like, okay, do I have the money or do I not? Although that is a fundamental thing where if people don't have the money, generally they're not going to go and take a loan or, rack up debt, and you shouldn't want them to do that probably in order to buy your product or service. I see some marketers doing that. I think that's pretty uncool. They're usually like info product marketers. So I don't recommend that at all. Doesn't feel cool. What I find a lot of brands though do is that they kind of get a little too cautious. They get a little too, I don't know if the right word is like in love with their brand and or perfectionist perhaps. And they're not willing to take any risk to grow. In order to grow, you have to fundamentally be willing to change. In order to grow physically, this is an analogy. But it's kind of a general principle. You have to be willing to be uncomfortable. Let's say you're trying to change your mindset, you're trying to reframe something that is painful or uncomfortable, maybe personally in your life. You need to confront the facts of that situation and see how you might be able to reframe it or flip it into a positive way. Similarly, if you want to get stronger physically, you go to the gym, you have to make yourself uncomfortable. If you want to diet, it's something similar. So funnels, though, of course, are not like that, but mentally, we have to kind of be willing to make ourselves uncomfortable. Change is required for growth. So the key takeaway that I'd like you to get here from under this umbrella of the law of repetition, from this CRO checklist, this relates to email list building, okay? And I want to encourage you to ask for opt-ins repeatedly, and it can be the same incentive. In other words, it can be the same lead magnet, but you can reword it in different ways that will maybe eventually plug into and align with the reader's preferences, whether they be unconscious or, emotional, or just somehow aligning in a pragmatic way with whatever, the value is related to their problem that the lead magnet helps to solve. Practically speaking, well, it might look like having multiple calls to action across your website. You could have a lot of websites use a pop-up. Some brands are comfortable with that, some are not. But you could change the wording based on the behavior of the user on the site. Maybe on their second visit, you show the same lead magnet offer, but again, presented in a different way, because you're going to see a higher conversion rate. It's just like a law of physics, a law of repetition. The final 2 insights and points that I want to give you in this video from this 53-point CRO checklist, which again is free if you want to check it out, is under the umbrella of the law of maximization from our 11 laws of sales funnel physics. The law of maximization basically says everyone wants maximum value. Everyone wants maximum value. And the first point under this umbrella is that you want to use words that convey some sort of an immediate benefit rather than some sort of neutral or delayed benefit. For example, watch, and this is coming from one of the case studies in our conversion pack resource, watch might be a better word rather than request. You can relate this back to the limo case study where, people were requesting a call or a consultation versus watch a 10-minute video, as in right now. The second point under the law of maximization, and the 5th and final point that I want to give you from this 53-point checklist to come away from this video with, is surveying customers, not just on, like I talked about before, the example of surveying to increase your conversion rate. The vast majority, you might think like you're surveying on your website, okay? And a lot of those people, the vast majority, they're not buyers. What this point is about is surveying the people who have bought. And you want to ask them, why did you buy? And you want to hear it in their own words, okay? For instance, one of the case studies from our conversion pack, they were able to grow sales by 64% just using surveys to guide their redesign. In other words, just finding out like, well, what did the market want that they found appealing to buy this in the first place? And maybe that is on the landing page where you're selling already, or maybe it isn't. If it is, maybe you want to amplify it. You want to make it more visible. So we were talking about visibility before, and that can help to increase your conversion rate. It can literally be as simple. I have this entrepreneur friend, Giles Thomas. I hope I'm saying his name right. Giles, and he's in the e-commerce space. He writes a lot about Shopify, and he has his own agency there. He knows a lot about CRO. I've actually worked with him, and he's advised me on things in the past, like that previous case study around 2016 that I mentioned earlier. He has this technique. He calls it the visitor vocab technique. It basically means that the copy reflects, to the most degree that it's practical and possible, the vocabulary of your target market, sort of like in their own words. Because when you do that, that's going to further help to increase the conversion rate. And that relates to what we're saying here about surveying customers and hearing in their own words why they bought, and then taking that language and using that or something similar on your landing page. All right, so I hope you got a ton of value from this in-depth video on how to increase your conversion rate. And if you'd like to go access the full resource and the full article that goes with this video, the link will be in the description if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this on our site, obviously just go ahead and scroll down. And if you are interested in what we do, is we help companies to basically take the work of executing on their marketing off your plate, whether you're a busy founder, or you kind of know, you're savvy, you know exactly what you need to do, but you just don't have the time consistently to execute repeatedly, whether it be on your content marketing, your copywriting, executing on conversion rate optimization ideas like what are in this video, setting up and maintaining your ads, design. We offer 13 skill sets all in one, and you pay a flat, affordable monthly fee. And it's an amazing value, and that's what our clients tell us that they love. And you can delegate whatever you want to us. So check us out if you're interested. And until next time, as always, keep growing and stay focused. I'll see you soon.